repository, or you were working with the TurboTax Online repository?
Yeah, work with the TurboTax as well.
Okay, perfect. Then you guys already have the context, so that's good. So basically, most of the changes are in there. There is also a validation service which checks for errors at the end when the user wants to review their return to check if there are any gaps that were there for filling and just kind of like alert the user to fix those. So that's a separate service we have. We have some changes in there as well. So most of the changes are in these repositories. I'll just give you an example for a ticket that was created last sprint. So this is a very basic example where you have to add a red ball, which is basically if the user enters something which is not valid or the value is not valid, it actually alerts on the page, giving you a red ball validation, stating that, oh, this entry is wrong. So some examples can be as basic as that. Some can be really elaborate. For example, in this print, if I give you an example, this can be a little bit more. Okay, let me just go through this. So for this ticket, this was the change here. And if you see in the image on the page here, so this is a red ball basically, this red text that you can see. If I entered something in this text box which is not valid, it will just alert me in the page like this. So this spec was just to add that. So for every TDO page, we have an XML file if it's an easy step. And it has a corresponding Java file where we can add all the backend functions. So for example, in here, I had to add this error message here, which is a red ball fix. I'll remove this maybe. And in the backend in the Java, whatever validate calc is here in this input field, we could just go in here and kind of modify the logic which kind of dictates when your red ball should be triggered. So this was the change. This was a really basic change, but there can be other changes which is like more elaborate, like adding a different fields, maybe adding new steps based on what CRA has given that year. So this is kind of the work that would be. We can get started with something very basic to get you on board, and then just when you feel comfortable, you can pick tickets which you think is like okay for you guys or comfortable for you guys to do. So yeah. Any questions that you guys might have around this?
Like one question. So last time I working with one of the defect issue on TT. That is the Mediclaim. There's a one validation need to be updated. So what things that times I am getting some difficulty. Like is there any Figma UI to get the UI things? So they can identify
in
the
fact, sometimes they mention like the UI they give where the field has to be added. If not, you can always like contact the tax analyst which created the spec, or even Marie Noel or Patrick. Like you'll meet the team. But yeah, you can reach out to anybody if you have any questions about it. Usually we don't have a Figma. We usually have like just screenshots of the pages on which we need to add things. Figma we usually use for like the feature development side of things. But for this, you'll have screenshots and the exact page numbers and exact fields and mappings that you need to add.
Because we did not go each and every page, so how can we easily identify which page we need to figure out?
So that is all in the spec. All that information, like if you see in this spec, it mentions which page we have to add in, what would be the field which we'll have to add the red ball on, the condition which would trigger that, what would message. So every information is given to you.
Okay. Yeah. I think there is two languages we are using, French and also the language, the English.
Yeah.
So both are mentioned in the message?
Yeah, so French usually gets automatically translated by the translations team. So if you see this here, there's a webhook translations. So if you raise a pull request with you only have to change the English files, and this will trigger automatically and update everything in your French files as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and while testing, you can just confirm, the TS can just confirm that if the French translation is correct or not.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And we used to have those spec document writing by the TA and a Google Doc. So the one example that you saw was just a small description on the ticket, but usually we do have a big spec on the Google Doc. So yeah, if this one is not an example, but if you are going in the next sprint 7, there might be some nice example. But yeah, it's all detailed, really. Everything is in the spec.
Just open one spec. That's a good point you raised. This is the, yeah. So this is the spec that Marino just mentioned. So in that you'll have all the acceptance criterias. Oh, why is it not loading? Okay. 1 second.
You can see it. What do you? What's
Okay.
Oh,
So this is an example. So this is the interview changes that you might have to do. So these are the current boxes here and what were the change requirements for these. So this is in TTO. As you see, everything is mentioned. The existing text, the new text that has to be added. Then same for the red balls, which have to be deleted, what are new, what are modified. So this is a bit more comprehensive change than the last example I showed. But as you see, every single detail has been written off. And same goes for the validation service. What all validations we need to add, remove, what all changes we need to do. So you'd get all the comprehensive information in the spec document like this.
So basically, we are working with the TTO module or validation cell.
Both. So there were some tickets which have both. There are some which just might be TTO, just might be validation. So it depends on the change.
Okay. Yeah. Because I think UI is the TTO. Not
Yeah.
the-
Yeah.
Okay. Are you anything?
Okay.
As of now, not.
Okay.
so I think that I know it's going to get late in the evening if we try to do sprint planning and estimation those activities. But there is a 10 a.m. I don't know what that translates to. It's from 15 minutes from now would be the stand up for compliance. Ideally, we could have enough transfer or crossover time where you guys could attend that session. And I don't know typically how late you work into your evenings or what your crossover time would be. But ideally, we would have you be able to attend that session. Then we can figure out what the rest of the day looks like. But does that typically work in your working hours that you typically work? What time is it in India now?
7:30 p.
What time do you typically work until?
Till 8:30. I think 1 hour more.
Okay, well, I think that would work perfectly. And then instead of a typical daily stand-up, which you typically do in the morning, where you're giving kind of a preview of what you're expected to do that day, I guess yours would just be a review of what you've accomplished and whatever questions you may have for the next day. I think that's probably the best way for us to maybe use our time and make sure that we again work the time zones as best we can. So I'm not sure. Maybe. So maybe we should think of what's the right ticket for us to kind of assign just to get the ball rolling with these two and kind of so they can. I'm not sure maybe it makes sense to maybe give one ticket so they can kind of work on it together and kind of work together, and then we kind of figure it from there. And if that makes sense, and then we can keep on increasing the size of complexity and scope until we feel like everyone's on board and feeling comfortable.
Yeah, I think there's one ticket which was again for British Columbia credits or something. Maybe that would be a good starting point, Marino, if you have any that could be given. Okay.
Do you have the number of this ticket? Just sure.
Check. The next one is Prince 7, right?
Yes, because there's.
Okay, I think it's.
I do have two smaller one that are having just one line addition on the summary and other are text change. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would also work. That would also be perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so you want me to assign them right now or posting to Slack?
Yeah, I think you can just post in the chat and then maybe we can have like a working session if you guys would prefer that. For that, yeah, and we can assign them. Okay,
This
perfect.
one. And then there's this one as well that have only. So those are really two smaller one.
Mm. Okay, yeah, we can start with one of those then. Perfect.
And just make sure to assign them because you just want nobody else to them.
Yeah.
Whoever is going to work on it.
Perfect. Yeah. Can you also forward them the sprint ceremonies, the stand-up and everything?
It just while you
Yeah.
guys were talking, I just forward the stand up, the compliance stand. I didn't forward the other events because I think that's going to be too late in the evening.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to add you guys to the compliance channel now as well. If there's anything else, I just forward the series of the stand up that happens next.
Okay.
Hey, Aria, Brenda, you guys should have now access to the compliance channel. I've added you up to the Slack channel. And you should also have a calendar invite for stand up.
Okay. Have you invited for the ticket as well?